Okay, this is what we're going to call video number 0 for chapter 1. So it comes in front of video number 1. This is on exponents and order of operations. Okay, so every time you get a video at the beginning, I always tell you what the targets are. This kind of just explains what the video is about, so you have it right on the top of your paper, so you can look and easily see what this video covers. So you need to copy these down on your paper. The first target is I can evaluate expressions using exponents. So fill those in on your paper. Okay. Let's talk real quick about what these words mean. Evaluate means you're just going to work it out and get an answer. So we're going to work some things out and get answers when we see exponents. And we'll go over what exponents are. They might be review from 6th grade. And then I can evaluate. So again, work it out and get an answer. Sorry, my board right here has a little glitch in it, but that says evaluate expressions using what we call order of operations. So we'll talk about that. Those are our targets. That's what this video is about. So when you watch the videos, here's kind of some guidelines for you. This is what you need to make sure you're doing. Every time you watch videos, make sure the sound is on and you actually listen as I talk and explain things. That's how you're going to get anything out of this. Do not just mute it, play your music in the background, and copy off the screen. You need to actually listen. Take notes, right? Take notes, fill them in on the sheet like you're doing right now, filling it in with the paper I gave you. And this is the most important part. Pause if you need to. Stop it, slow it down, rewind it, listen to it again. Pause if you need to so that you can get everything written down. Okay? Stop and really do the practice. Do the practice. That's your chance to make sure you understand it or if you have any questions. Okay? We're always going to go over the answers and check it in the video, but you have to really do it first. Make a note if you have questions or if you got something wrong. So maybe circle something or put a star by it and say, hey, I didn't get this part in the video. I have questions when you come back to class so that we can go over it together. Okay? It's okay to not understand everything the first time. When you watch the video, you might still have questions or you might say, that doesn't make sense at all yet. We're going to go over everything more in class. This is just your first introduction to things so you kind of get the basics down and have a place where you have notes to look back on. But it's okay to have questions and we're going to go over everything more together. Cool. So let's start with exponents. You probably talked about exponents in 6th grade. These first couple things are what we call pre-targets. That means you probably have seen them before, but we want to review it and just make sure, just as a quick reminder of what they are so that we can use them as we go through this year. Okay, so exponents. Here's an example of an exponent. It's this little number written up in the corner. So exponents are an easy shorthand, a quick way of writing repeated multiplication. This is something you need to write down on your paper. Fill in that blank. It tells us it's a way to write repeated multiplication, multiplying over and over again. So in my example, 5 to the 4th power up there, 5 is the base number, and it tells us what to multiply. Okay, it tells me what I'm multiplying over and over again. And then in my example, the 4 is the exponent, or sometimes we also call it a power. It's the little number, that should say power. It's this little number up here written up in the corner. Okay, and the exponent tells us how many times to multiply. All right. Good, so you have those filled in on your paper. Let's look at a couple examples. Okay. So here I have numbers written with exponents. 2 to the 3rd power is probably how you'd say it if you were looking at this. And it means 2 multiplied by itself 3 times. 2 times 2 times 2. Or 4 to the 5th power. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. 4 to the 5th power. I have 4 multiplied by itself 5 times. Or 3 to the 3rd power would look like this. Okay? Doesn't matter if you write it like with an X or with a little dot to show multiplication. Sometimes you'll see something like this with parentheses. So write it down all these different ways just as examples on your paper. The last one, 3 squared, just means 3 times 3. You could see it any of those ways. So just repeated multiplication. Or you might see it as the multiplication all written out, and they want you to write it with an exponent. So here I have a base of 8, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them multiplied together, so the exponent of 6. Or a base of 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them would be 7 to the 5th power. Or I can even have variables, b multiplied by itself 4 times. Or here I have 4 multiplied by itself 3 times, and then a multiplied by itself twice. I can get something like that. So you just need to know how exponents work. How do I write it, something with an exponent? Or if I see an exponent, what does it mean? So here's some matching on your paper. Take a second to actually pause the video, match them up, which ones over here match up with which ones over here, and then hit play and we'll check. So whenever we go over answers, don't just copy it. Actually do the problems and then come back and check. Hopefully this is what you got. If you have any questions or something, put a star by this, but this is just some practice matching up exponents and writing out the multiplication. So a couple more things to fill in, and this is on your note sheet as well. So anything to the power of 1. So if I have something like 5 to the first power, or 7 to the first power, or 14 to the first power, anything to the power of 1 is itself. It just means write the number down. It doesn't get really multiplied by anything. You just get that number again. Okay. Anything to the power of 0, like 8 to the power of 0, or 27 to the power of 0, or 93 to the power of 0. That is always just going to be equal to 1. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's to the power raised to the power of 0, I get 1. We'll talk about that a little bit more in class. To square something, if you hear somebody say like 4 squared, okay, so if they mean 4 times 4 or 4 squared, that just means it's a power of 2, an exponent of 2, or to the 2nd power. Okay, that's just a special one. Sometimes we say square. So this would be 3 squared or 5 squared. And then to cube something is to the power of 3, an exponent of 3. So that's 7 cubed, or 9 cubed, or 5 cubed. So that just means an exponent of 3. Okay, so make sure you have this all written down, or the 3rd power. Make sure that's all on your paper, and then we'll go on and talk about order of operations a little bit. So order of operations tells us, like you can tell from the name, it tells us the order in which to do the different operations. When we see a problem like this that has a ton of different steps, I've got multiplication, addition, exponents, parentheses, subtraction, addition, more subtraction, all of that in the same problem. If everybody went and did this problem in their own order, like maybe some people would start here, some people might start with the exponent, some people start in the front with the multiplication. If we all picked a different place to start, we'd all come up with a different answer. So it's important that we all follow the same order and do the steps in the same order so that we all get the same answer, get the right answer, okay? So order of operations, I shorten this to OOO. If you hear me talk about OOO, I'm talking about following order of operations. What order do we do all the different steps in? So this is another pre-target. It could be something that you've seen before in 6th grade. Maybe you've heard PEMDAS. Some people say that, or PEMDAS. Some people remember this sentence, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, to remember the order of the steps. Okay, so we're going to go through these real quick. The P stands for parentheses. So when you see the P, that's parentheses. When you see something like this, we're always going to do what's inside the parentheses first. Exponents, we just went over. When you see something like this, you're going to work that out. Okay, 4 times 4, so I know that this is equal to 16, right? When I do out that exponent, so I would do those next. Okay, there's a note here that it also includes square roots. Square roots are something that you're going to see more in 8th grade, so we won't have too many of those. Next, the M and the D. Multiplication, so write down multiplication for M, division for D, and we always do those from left to right. So just like you would read a sentence from left to right. And then the last step, A is for addition, S is for subtraction. And we do those together, again, from left to right. So if you write this down on your paper, if you put PEMDAS down, parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division are one step from left to right, and then adding and subtraction are one step from left to right. If you follow in that order, you'll come up with the right answer when you see problems that have lots of steps. So here's some examples we're going to do together. So I've got my PEMDAS written down. Remember, that's one step, and this is one step, and I do those from left to right. So let's show our work. I know it's a little tight on your paper. Try to show the work with us. Okay, first one, parentheses. Yep, I have parentheses. 4 minus 2 gives me 2 right there. And then try to copy the problem down so that you have all the work there and you don't lose anything. So I'm going to work up on these ones just because I don't have any room down below. But all right, I've got everything copied down. Next would be exponents. I'm onto this step. I do have 3 squared. That means 3 times 3 right there. So that would give me 9. Copy the rest of the problem down. Okay, I'm on to multiplication and division here. I do see some multiplication. This number outside the parentheses means I multiply those. So I get 10 there. And 9 plus 10, that would give me 19 for a final answer. Okay, so notice how I showed all the steps, all the work as I go. Do one step at a time and write it down. Let's look at number 8. No parentheses, no exponents. I do have multiplication and division. Right here I have a division problem. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Copy everything else down. 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay, what about number 9? Well, no parentheses, no exponents. I do have multiplication and division, and I'm going to do them just as I work from left to right. So 10 divided by 5, copy down everything. I still have to do then 2 times 3 would give me 6. Okay. How about number 10? All right, parentheses. I have to start here. So I'm going to do what's inside these parentheses first. Looks like inside there I have exponents. So 3 times 3 times 3. Well, 3 times 3 is 9 times 3. Okay, that would give me 27 minus 8. That's all inside the parentheses. Bring everything down so I don't lose it. I have this. So 27 minus 8, I'm still working inside the parentheses. I get this, bring it down. 4 times 19. If you use a calculator, I got 76. So I have this. And 76 divided by 2 gives me 38 for a final answer. Okay? All right, 2 more. Let's try these. No parentheses. I'm on this one. No parentheses. No exponents. Multiplication and division from left to right. So I'm going to do this, multiplication, and this division, and get those answers. 3 times 6. 4 divided by 2. And then bring down this subtraction sign. 18 minus 2. 16. Okay. And then number 12. Okay. No parentheses, no exponents. I find I got some multiplication there. Got to do that first. 7 times 3. Bring everything else down. Okay. Now I just have adding and subtracting left, so I go from left to right. 12 plus 21. Give me 33. Minus 24. And I get 11. Okay. So there's some examples. You should have those written down on your paper. I just want to point out, be really careful with ones like this. A lot of people see this and they want to start here in front and do that first. Don't do that. Okay? Make sure you follow order of operations. P, parentheses. Let's do this first. 5 plus 1 is 6. It's still in the parentheses there. Copy everything else down so you don't lose it. Okay? Now, exponents, don't have any of those. But next comes multiplication. I have to do this multiplication next. That means 2 times 6. So I get 12 there. So I have 16 minus 12 plus 3. Now adding and subtracting from left to right, work this way. 16 minus 12 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Okay? Notice how my work kind of makes this triangle shape as I get down to my answer. So try to show each step, all the work. Okay? Pause and try this next one. I want you to do this one right here and check it and see what you get. So make sure you really paused and did the problem. Notice my work goes this way, and I got 34 for an answer. Okay? Stop the video, do these ones as practice, and then hit play again and check your work and go over the answers, okay? Okay, take a second to really check these. Notice how all of my work kind of makes that triangle. I don't have any equal signs anywhere. I just write the answer down below in the next line. Okay, so check these answers. One thing I do want to point out in this last one, do the top and then do the bottom And then this bar means to divide. So I ended up with 56 divided by 7.